Alrighty, hello everyone, and welcome to this week's Real Watchers live stream. My name is Garrett,
and I am Adrian.
And it's good to see all of you. It's good to see you too, Adrian. How have you been doing over this last week?
Been very, very good. We celebrated the girlfriend's birthday this weekend, so did a lot of really fun stuff.
Yeah.
Won at trivia night. That's the first time we ever went, so that was cool. We were representing the Mark Buffaloes, and absolutely ran trivia night, so that was super fun. And then it was just a good weekend.
Awesome. And I actually know today is Cassidy's birthday. I already
indeed.
wished her a happy birthday, but happy birthday again, Cassidy, if you're watching. Alrighty, we got some stories to get through today, some fun stuff to talk about. I am also fighting some sort of allergy cold thing, so my voice sounds probably more sultry than usual, but it definitely hurts more to talk, so I will not be talking as much as I normally do. But let's go ahead. And that's just because Adrian is he's shy. Everyone give him some love. Just kidding. Adrian, I don't know where I was going with that. All right, well, let's go ahead and talk about probably the biggest news story to be going on right now in the entertainment world, and that is that the Writers Guild of America is on strike. They have failed to reach any kind of agreement with producers and studios on something very basic: fair wages. One of the biggest issues right now seems to be fair wages for workers. The last time I saw a number was that 50 to 60% of writers can't afford to pay rent, which is crazy because it's more of a gig job instead of an actual position. And one of the other big things is minimum staffing for writers' rooms. This is more so for like late night TV and TV shows where they have rooms of people that write episodes and content instead of, films where it's just 1, 2, 3, maybe 4 people. Definitely a big situation. In a week, they've lost several $1 billion. Many different productions have been shut down. A couple we'll talk about on here. And the Directors Guild starts meeting tomorrow for their negotiations. So we'll see if that ends up in a strike too. Because if there's anything I've learned over the last week, producers are greedy.
Yeah, I mean, they put the money in, they want the money back out, but that's no excuse. I mean, it's been proven time and time again that if you pay people what they're worth and you treat them like they're valued, you get better content and better production out of them. So it seems like counterintuitive, and I'm in full support of the writers, and if the directors decide to go as well, I'm in support of that. I think it's just a really odd situation, and it's a shame that it came to this, but when stuff's wrong, you got to make some noise and make some waves in the industry, so I'm all for it.
Yeah, arguably the brightest minds besides directors in Hollywood are the writers, the ones that are actually creating these stories that we love, and they're not getting the love that they deserve. So
absolutely. And speaking of the brightest minds working on film, sequel to Lord of War is coming with Nicolas Cage reprising his role, with Bill Skarsgård playing his son reportedly. Very, very exciting. I really actually enjoyed the first movie. It was actually probably one of the better, more serious roles. And I'm for it. I don't know if I would see this in theaters based without having seen a trailer or anything like that, but it does feel like something I would watch for sure.
Yeah, this was definitely curious because I know the first film has kind of become a cult classic.
Yeah.
In cinephile circles, especially its incredible opening sequence, like the birth of a bullet, I think is what it's called.
Yeah.
Is really good. I definitely have to rewatch this movie. I haven't seen it in quite a long time. So
same, actually. I just remember it fondly from when I saw it.
Yeah, so I think this is actually kind of cool. I mean, maybe it'll tell a more modern story. I mean, hopefully it doesn't go too much into things like Ukraine, where it's a little too on the nose right now. But
I feel like I'm always against sequels and stuff, but this is the kind of sequel that I do actually look forward to, because it wasn't meant to have a sequel. It's just a movie, and we're getting more of it, which I'm a little more in favor of, especially more obscure films. So I'm actually in support of this. I don't think, at least again, without seeing a trailer or anything, it doesn't seem like an unnecessary cash grab. This seems like, there's a lot of people that liked the first one. We've heard the buzz. Let's go ahead and put some resources into another one. That seems like a positive thing to me.
Yeah, all for it. Speaking of all for it, the first reactions for Little Mermaid are coming out now, which comes out, I believe, next week or the week after. One of the other biggish summer movies, and the reactions are good.
It looks good.
The reviews have been a lot of people have been saying it's one of the better live action remakes, but still a little disjointed in areas. A lot of people are calling out that the underwater sections look a little funky. But one of the biggest things, all the races. Bailey is born to play Ariel, and she is like a superstar in the making. And that this was probably she's the best part of the movie, which arguably she should be. But she's the main character. Also, Melissa McCarthy kills it as Ursula, which I was not
amazing
expecting.
casting. I feel that's really strong.
Very much wasn't feeling it when it first was announced, but
really,
apparently they showed off her song at CinemaCon and they got a standing ovation. So I don't know. Now I'm kind of like, all right, let's see what can happen. And then Daveed Diggs, who got really big from Hamilton and a couple other films, he kind of takes a lot of the scenes away as Sebastian the Crab. So a lot of good news all around, just a little bit disjointed in some areas. Some of the effects look a little wonky. And one of the reactions said that it's best when it kind of focuses on its fantasy elements, but for some reason later on it starts to hamper them, like want to not explore the fantasy side so much, which is kind of weird.
Well, the original movie steers away from fantasy for like pretty much the whole third act.
Like more the second act. The third act has fantastical elements. Yeah. But the first reaction is looking good. We'll see obviously how it is when it comes out, and if internet furor can have any effect on box office.
Yeah, and speaking of Born to Play a Role, Beetlejuice 2 with Michael Keaton and Jenna Ortega is set to release next year. So actually getting a release year is pretty exciting. I know it's obviously been talked about for quite a long time, but super stoked to actually get the film. Can't imagine any better combination, actor, actress, director, all of it. I just think it's going to be really well done. I think this is one of those movies, talking about sequels again, that like you can't afford to have it go poorly. So if this goes bad, I think this is going to be a pretty big tank on Jenna's maybe trajectory right now. Like I feel like this is a really big role to hit or miss on. So fingers crossed. I'm excited for it.
Yeah, she hasn't stumbled yet, and I think
that's what I'm saying. This is a big one.
Interesting that she's become a goth queen almost now.
Not because she wanted to either. She just played.
Yeah, she plays these characters really well. So next up, talking more about the writer's strike again. Marvel's Blade has been delayed, or its production has been delayed due to the writer's strike. It was 1 month away from production. We talked about this last week.
Yep.
And it has been delayed yet again. But as much a lot of shows and other productions have been, with a lot of crews refusing to cross picket lines. So I don't know if we'll ever get this movie at this point.
This could be one of those things that just like never comes out. I mean, it's looking like it's leading that way, but I hope that with the writer's strike, kind of if this gets resolved hopefully in a normal way or a positive way, that it can lead to a great movie coming out. I know it's changed hands a lot, but still hope for me.
Yeah.
In terms of hope not sticking with me, Jonathan Majors has appeared in court and the charges seem to be sticking. So nothing was immediately thrown out. Everything that kind of was talked about and presented seems to at least have some sort of weight to it, which is very unfortunate. And being a movie podcast, we'll specifically focus on the movie impacts of this. But very interesting to see what Marvel's going to do with this. This is pretty up in the air.
Yeah, there's another channel I was watching earlier today that was talking about the same thing, because the court appearance was today. It was either late yesterday or today. And someone was bringing up Loki, the season 2 of Loki, which is not, again, it's not a film, it's a TV show, but it does have Jonathan Majors in it and is tied to the MCU. And the piece of advice was given, just put that show out as soon as possible. Just get it before anything else bad comes out against John Majors, so that people can enjoy the show and not, steer away from it, which we'll see. I don't know.
I will say, as much as it is in the news, I do have to hand it to Marvel if it's them, but I feel like this has been suppressed greatly for the severity of the charges. Like I know you can find information on it, but I feel like it is not on TikTok. It's not on Instagram. Like it's relatively quiet for such large accusations.
Yeah, and we've also seen some of the ways that the lawyers are fighting the accusations. Apparently there's evidence out there showing that the victim was showing up at parties and events the next day completely fine. So we don't know what's going on.
But the fact that they're sticking means, there's something to investigate is basically what we've come to the point of. Like, there's there's something on both sides, is what it's seeming like.
Yeah, and granted, I mean, we felt like the Rust stuff was going to be pretty sticking, and then Alec Baldwin got his dropped. I'm not equating the two by any means, but yeah, we'll just have to wait and see.
Yeah,
what ends up happening with that. We'll talk about. I don't know. Jonathan Majors, there's no segue for this one. I don't know. Super Mario is now the 5th biggest animated film of all time. Which I guess you could say is a major achievement.
There it is.
That's the only segue I can think of. I mean, yeah, it made over $1 billion.
Let's go ahead and have our live editors cut it. Speaking of major, Super Mario is now.
we don't have anyone we can pay for that. I mean, this is to be expected. I mean, once it hit $1 billion, we kind of all knew that it was going to hit some big landmark things, and yeah.
I mean, it's an animated movie. I can't wait to see. I mean, this is obviously all props to Super Mario. Still haven't seen it. Not really care to. But it does make me hopeful to see the velocity that Across the Spider-Verse will have. I think that is going to be another groundbreaking animated film that will probably... We might be reporting this exact same thing about that movie in 2 weeks. I mean,
I really hope. Yeah, I sincerely hope we are. That there's going to be the same kind of news, just because I feel like that movie has just gained popularity after coming out on home video. Yeah. So, hopefully we can get that up there too.
Absolutely. Speaking of absolutely major, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 has second largest opening of 2023. To be expected. I mean, this is one of the most anticipated films by not only James Gunn, but Marvel in general. Been postponed enough, for sure. Been filled in with other subsequent films like the Christmas special. I saw this. Did you see it?
I did not have time this weekend, and I was already starting to feel sick on Sunday when I was going
Fair
to
enough.
it. So,
yeah, it's no surprise that this people are going to the theater for this. I mean, it's a theater experience. It's the end of a trilogy. If you've seen any reviews online, people are already relating it to a trilogy like Lord of the Rings and the original Star Wars. People are. It's definitely, this makes sense, I guess, is without spoiling anything.
I mean, yeah, it is a Marvel film. I mean, it's just sad that Ant-Man couldn't have the same thing, but Ant-Man had its issues. So, I mean, this is to be expected. It's James Gunn's last film before taking over the DCU.
What a way to go! I'll say that.
And then the only thing I have heard is that there is, in fact, in Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, the first MCU-DCU crossover. I don't know if you watched the show. Apparently, Eagly from Peacemaker shows up at some point.
I did not watch
Guardians Volume 3.
What was Eagly?
Eagly isn't a bear; it's a bald eagle. It may have been a really quick sequence. I don't know, but apparently James Gunn said that it is Eagly from Peacemaker, so it is technically the first Marvel DC crossover.
I have been watching some really funny interviews of James Gunn and Chris Pratt, and James Gunn, they brought up like he was the one who wrote the scene from the first Guardians of the Galaxy with the Collector talking about where the Infinity Stones were scattered, and James Gunn in that interview is like, yeah, I wrote that in like an hour, and now it's like canon for every Marvel movie ever. And I want to be clear, he didn't write the idea of the Power Stones. He wrote for the movie like where they are, just to fill that scene. And now we've got we're 10 years later or something.
Yeah,
we're still building off of that writer's room experience. So it's just super funny. And obviously, I was super stoked to see this go well. I was probably one of the more hesitant people. After the second one, with James Gunn being completely in control, I was a little more nervous, but it was really exciting. And I liked it without spoiling anything.
Well, that's good to know, I mean, especially after the everything going on with Ant-Man and the Wasp. That Marvel is really not dead, which is good.
This 100%, literally first thing thinking out. I have the Infinity War collection, the Infinity Saga. First thing was like, can't wait for the Multiverse Saga. Like it reignited the
Your
spark
passion.
of excitement because I feel like we're over like introducing new characters. We're done with the like rebuild and reset phase like they do in the comic books. We're past that. Now we're getting the Marvels, which is characters that we know already doing something. Like we're past this introductory period, and I'm really hoping we can get back to some really, really good movies.
Yeah, sincerely hoping so.
Yeah.
Speaking about hoping if it's good, Carl Urban is apparently joining Mortal Kombat 2 as Johnny Cage. I mean, Carl Urban's a great actor.
Yeah,
I don't know about fitting him in as Johnny Cage. I feel like there was pretty perfect casting with there's that one WWE wrestler whose whole personality is basically Johnny Cage. I think it's The Miz is his name. I don't know, but I'm not a wrestling person, but I feel like that would have been perfect casting. But Carl Urban, I mean, it's a good choice. What do you think, Adrian?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I feel fine with it. I don't really care. I don't follow the Mortal Kombat games super closely or Carl Urban necessarily. Like, I know of each one, and I've played Mortal Kombat, so I think like the looks is a bit off, but I also feel like to relate it to Guardians, like people, if you had told me Chris Pratt was going to play Star-Lord after only seeing him on Parks and Rec, I would have been like, what? So maybe there's like a transformation going on. I mean, there's a lot that can be done now, so I'm still hopeful. I think I'm fine with it.
Gotcha. Yeah. Well, we'll have to see how this ends up being. It's supposed to be coming out next year, so we'll have to wait and see. Before we move on, it does look like we do have a comment. Our good old buddy Griffin. Hey, Google, change the lights to purple. Oh, my internet's not working right now for my light bulbs. Sorry.
Super embarrassing. On live, we can't even edit that out.
It actually heard me, which is actually pretty fascinating.
Griffin, it should be about that time. Good friend of the show. Happy 1 year work anniversary.
Oh, has it been a year?
I don't know if it's today, but he and I were chatting just a few days ago, so it might be today.
Coming up on it. Still, always love the profile picture there. I believe that is the underwear or the swimsuit stormtrooper from Lego Star Wars. Gotta love it.
No, I was there. I took that. That's really I took that photo.
No, yeah, I know. It's a cosplay.
Yeah.
Alrighty. Well, let's go ahead and dive into the trailer park because weren't that many trailers that came out this weekend. We had some big ones. So obviously Dune Part 2 came out this weekend. Meg 2, The Trench, really the equal footing films there. Oppenheimer and Come Out Fighting were the big four this weekend. Which of them stood out to you the most, Adrian?
Do you want to guess?
I'm going to say it was Meg 2, The Trench, when Jason Statham kicks a shark in the face.
Is my second runner for trailers. I literally almost picked it. For me, if you've watched any of our stuff, it's definitely Dune Part 2. I am absolutely stoked. This movie looks amazing. It looks like a direct continuation of the first one, which it should be, but everything looks amazing with it. Even Austin Butler, bald. I didn't hear an accent in the trailer, but I'm stoked. I think it looks great. And the Meg 2, yeah, I mean, I'm stoked. The first one's fun. This one looks like it knows it's not serious and is ready to have fun with it. Yeah,
I mean, I wasn't really that big a fan of the first one in terms of like it was campy fun, but it wasn't like a good film. And the fact that it's getting a sequel is kind of puzzling. But I mean, hey, it looks like it'll be at least a little bit of fun.
This might be one of those things that you see like produced, directed, starred by Jason Statham. Like you just
produced, directed, starred, funded by.
He just needed another vehicle.
And it's just like, and you later on he's got like wigs on and he's in like other roles and he's like, oh no! It's like, I don't know. That's just the stupidest thing. Yeah, Dune Part 2's trailer was really good this week, and it really feels like it was made at the same time as the first movie, which is good. It wasn't, cool. But it feels like it. But I do have to say, Oppenheimer, the trailer that came out this week, was so good.
Yeah.
This is a bold claim here. I'm going to say that Oppenheimer's second trailer that came out this week is one of my favorite trailers of all time.
Nice. Respect.
Specifically, the whole end of it. Oh, with the countdown and the Geigers going off. Oh, so good. And I am so excited for that movie.
Something I did want to talk about real quick about Meg 2, because it's clearly the topic.
Yeah.
I think it's really interesting, and I hope this is the last one. And I like it because the Meg 2 almost is like Meg plural in like license plate thing, because to me this feels very much like Anaconda and Anacondas. Like this is literally the exact same concept. First movie introduces you to the singular. Second movie's like they're everywhere.
Yeah.
Now I love it.
The second movie is Peter Griffin's nightmare. is essentially what it is. It's multiple Megs.
Yeah.
However, though, I'm really interested to see, because it has a whole thing where like there's a trench and it's like creatures that are older or different than what we currently have come through the trench. And I'm curious if at the end of this movie we get a tease that it is tied to the Monsterverse with Kong and Godzilla.
Or Pacific, like could be Pacific Rim.
Or Pacific Rim.
Yeah.
I doubt it, but
can you imagine they're in the writer's room? It's like, companies. I know what we can tie it to. Pacific Rim Uprising.
But one of the producers thought they meant The Pacific from HBO. The
World War II one. The Tom Hanks produced Academy Award winning.
Yeah, Steven Spielberg, like we got Iwo Jima with Megalodons. Let's do it. But that's it for the trailers this week. Griffin saying, thank you so much. It is today. Awesome. We nailed it. Adrian nailed it. I'm not taking credit for that. But very happy to finally catch you guys live. We're very happy to have you here.
I did bring you this man.
Oh, shit. I don't have a... Do I have a man?
Does that kind of look like me?
I mean, a little bit. If you were made out of, like, stone and...
Oh, is that the only requirement?
Yeah, I mean, for me at least. I don't know.
For you.
Alrighty. Well, moving on to my personal favorite segments. I watch a lot of movies in a given week, and here are the ones that I watched this week. I didn't watch as many as usual, but I watched some interesting ones. First up was Knock at the Cabin, which came out this year, and you can watch this movie on Peacock. Gave it a 70 out of 100. Said the film is built on good performances. Aside from its cast and gorgeous cinematography, the film's story is really basic for Shyamalan. It doesn't quite feel like his best work, and if anything, it feels like a simplistic thriller with good performances. I don't know what's going on with me right now. Next up was Wrath of Man from 2021. This was Jason Statham. He's back. This is his action revenge movie about the bank cars getting robbed. It's just a thoroughly mediocre action thriller. Wrath of Man is plain from beginning to end. Its better moments come way too late into the film, and the reveal of the bad guys is far from adequate. It's fun, but nothing worth spending your time on. So, if you're looking for something that's just fun, throwaway, you can watch it in an evening. Sure, it's there. It's on Paramount Plus if you'd like to watch it. Next up is Knowing, the Nicolas Cage film from 2009. Aside from a few intense and well-done disaster scenes, the film's logic falls apart rather quickly, as the events and ideas that tie everything together dissolve rather quickly. Also, Nicolas Cage is boring here, and that's saying something for Nicolas Cage. Following that, the last film I watched in this given week was GoldenEye, the James Bond film from 1995. Aside from a few awesome set pieces, GoldenEye is a pretty average Bond film with fun performances. Brosnan is great, and so is the action when it's actually happening. So if you'd like to see any of those reviews, you can go to Letterboxd. That is my username, where you can see everything that I've watched from this week and beyond, and keep up to date if you want to see what I think of things.
It's super interesting. I probably would have flipped two of the scores of the two that I've seen. I probably would have literally flipped your Knock at the Cabin and Knowing scores.
Really?
Yeah, I thought Knock at the Cabin was, I think you summed it up just fine, but I felt like it was predictable from the trailer. So like it just did nothing for me.
And I think it is simplistic. Like there's no real twist.
The twist is like you figure it out in the first like 2 minutes. You're like,
the twist was like, I guess you could say it was given away in the trailer.
Yeah,
and that's the only twist is that it's actually happening, kind of a thing.
Because the whole movie, you're like, well, the twist is probably that it's not happening. But then because M. Night Shyamalan, you're like, oh, well, then it is like that's the twist is that it is happening.
Yeah.
And yeah, it just so I felt like it was a little. I probably would have given it like a 40 if I were rating. But Knowing is one of my like cult classic favorite films.
Yeah, it's just weird. Like for me, like there's the whole numbers thing, and it's not that the numbers don't make sense, but like the numbers then don't mean anything in the end. Like it's supposed to be a warning about something that's inevitable. So what's the whole point of having the warning in the first place, if not just to give you like, oh, it's a cool puzzle that has to be solved? Like it feels like this came out around the same time as Da Vinci Code and was trying to be like something more than just a disaster movie. Also its ending is a little weak.
That's why I would have given it a 70. I feel like this movie to me is really, really good until the last like 15 minutes. And then you're like, what?
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah, I just would have switched those two.
all
But,
based on opinions.
your synopsis is excellent. Like, I agree. I just rate them differently, which is totally fine.
Yeah, but those disaster sequences, the plane crash in particular, is like...
I saw that in theaters, man. That scared me. I was young.
Oh,
And
100%.
it was like before Dolby Atmos, but it was like, this is what like THX should have like used as their like flagship sound. The way it felt like it was ripping through the theater was absolutely bonkers.
Yeah. It's
Speaking of absolutely,
I was gonna say the only other experience like that. Did you ever see The Gray with Liam Neeson? That plane crash is also really crazy when I saw that in theaters.
This might be exaggerating. Every 2 weeks, I think about if I were in a plane crash, I'd have to strap myself into all 3 seats in my row because that's what he said. That's what he does. I think about it all the time.
Speaking of plane crashes, so I talk about my friendship with Griffin here. Thank you for the man, Garrett. Nothing. I also have a man here. It's a tester for different paints and shades. So this is a Space Marine.
Oh my gosh! If just like a guy came out from behind you. I also have a guy here.
I also have a man. And I'd like to discuss your opinion of Talladega Nights from a previous episode. We'll be happy to do that. We'll happy to do that at the end during the after show.
I also feel like maybe I'm calling myself out. That's not spelled with an K.
No,
it's
not. It's Talladega Nights with an N.
Okay, Griffin with the hard K in the chat.
Hard K. 2023. What the hell?
Speaking of hard Ks, a lot of movies coming out this weekend. We got to hear all about what Garrett has seen, but a lot of you want to go to the theater this weekend or look for something to do. So I'm going to go ahead and run through everything coming out with a little synopsis. First, we have the book club, semicolon, the next chapter, coming out this Friday to a wide release, so it'll be playing near you. Follows the new journey of 4 best friends as they take their book club to Italy for the fun girls trip they never had. I mean, I wish I could be there. We also have Hypnotic coming out. A detective investigates a mystery involving his missing daughter and a secret government program. Ben Affleck's new movie looks pretty promising, like if you're into any of his kind of like thriller films. This comes out on Friday to moderate release. This one, interestingly enough, might be a little hard to find. I don't know if like the funding behind it was a little limited, but I think it looks pretty good, so I'm hoping that it plays near me. Then we have The Starling Girl. 17-year-old Jem Starling struggles to define her place with her fundamentalist Christian community in rural Kentucky. Even her greatest joy of dancing with the church group is tempered by worry that her actions are sinful, and she is caught between a burgeoning awareness of her own sexuality and her religious devotion. Doesn't seem like my necessary kind of like film. I don't know if I'll be catching it. It is limited, so I'm not super bummed that it's not near me, but you may have to travel a bit to see it. And this also opens on Friday. Then we have Hard K, Knights of the Zodiac. Based on the international anime sensation, Knights of the Zodiac brings the Saint Seiya saga to the big screen in live action for the first time. If you're a fan of this, I've never heard of this anime, but if you're a fan of it, or if you just like that kind of style in general, this seems like it could be good. I'm hoping that it's not anything like the Attack on Titan live action, but it is Sony Pictures Entertainment, so some money behind it. That comes out on Friday to limited release, so you're going to have to travel a bit. Then we also have Fool's Paradise. A fool for love becomes an accidental celebrity only to lose it all. Coming out Friday to limited release. I don't know too much about this movie, but it is the one that's directed and starred in by Charlie Day. And I actually just watched his really cool video on the Criterion Collection YouTube. This is it A24? No, Lionsgate. Am I totally wrong? I don't know. I think it's Lionsgate. But it's his directorial debut. So if he likes Always Sunny in Philadelphia or anything that Charlie Day has touched, which I do, it's probably worth checking out. I just don't know much about the plot. Then we also have Monica, the intimate portrait of a woman who returns home to care for her dying mother. A delicate and nuanced story of a fractured family. The story explores universal themes of abandonment, aging, acceptance, and redemption. Coming out on Friday to limited release. Then we have Blackberry, the story of the meteoric rise and the catastrophic demise of the world's first smartphone. coming out on Friday to limited release. I'm actually bummed this is limited release. This is something I wanted to see. I had a BlackBerry as one of my first phones, and they used to be like the absolute workhorse, and then they just completely went away, or they're really hard to find now. So I'm actually interested. I'll definitely catch this when it's streaming. I don't know if I'll travel for it. Then we have Rally Road Racers from the producers of Shrek. Racers compete in a high-stakes rally along the famous Silk Road trade route. This comes out on Friday limited release. It is animated. I don't even know how this movie got made. That synopsis alone seems absolutely insane from the producers of Shrek. But definitely looks like a fun one for the kids, rated PG. Then we have Limentita, the story of love between Clara and her children, set in Rome in the 70s, open to limited release on Friday. And then last but not least, we have It Ain't Over. Gives Yogi Berra his due in following the life of a bad ball hitting catcher, but also a D-Day veteran, loving husband and father. Yes, product endorser and originator of his own brand of proverbs, now ingrained into everyday life. Coming out on Friday to limited release. So again, you may have to travel for this documentary.
Alrighty, that's some interesting stuff coming out this weekend. Arguably nothing too big, but hey, it gives us time to catch up if any of us haven't seen Guardians or Super Mario Brothers yet.
Or Bo is Afraid for some of us.
That too. I do. There's a lot I need to go see. Alrighty, let's go ahead and talk about last weekend, though, with the movies that made the most amount of money over the last weekend. However, we did have a comment, and Griffin said, oopsie. Yeah, you can't have a hard K in 2023, my guy.
Canceled.
Alrighty. Coming in first, no surprise here, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 with $118 million in its first weekend. Pretty awesome. It's the second highest opening of the year. Following that is the Super Mario Brothers movie at 18.6.
Still strong. Dropping. Still strong, though.
Still very strong, dropping to second place, though. Evil Dead Rise retaining a third place spot with $5.9 million. In fourth place, Are You There, God? It's Me, Margaret, with a surprising strong staying on the list with $3.2 million. And then Love Again coming in at number 5 with $2.4 million. So not too surprising of a box office weekend, except for the fact that Are You There, God? It's Me, Margaret is still there, and that Evil Dead is retaining a third place spot.
For a horror movie, really impressive.
I mean, we've seen really good outings for horror this year. I mean, Megan at the beginning of the year, Scream 6, Evil Dead Rise now. Really hoping that we can continue the trend.
Absolutely, yeah.
But that is it for everything we were going to talk about for the movie industry, for movies and everything like that. Adrian, what have you been currently doing outside of movies? You know, we obviously... You celebrated Cassidy's birthday over the weekend, but anything else you got going on?
Yeah, finally found a game that I'm actually sticking with for a while. Star Ocean, The Divine Force. Haven't played a Star Ocean game since my PSP, but it is really, really good. I highly recommend it. Combat is great. Story is great. Visuals are great. Love it. I did watch the Fantastic Mr. Fox, which was pretty good. I also watched Point Break, the new one, the one without Keanu Reeves. And it's not the best movie, but I feel like it got a bad rap when it came out. It's all right. If you just like adventure stuff, it's a fun movie. Then watched Pitch Perfect, the first one, full of cringe. Also am watching the show Chimp Empire on Netflix. Very fun documentary about one of the largest chimp colonies in the world. It's like 4 episodes. Really, really good. Also kind of half watching the Ed Sheeran show on Disney Plus, the documentary. Really, really well done as well. And then I did see Guardians of the Galaxy 3 at the midnight premiere.
Awesome. Yeah, so did you happen to watch Fantastic Mr. Fox because of the video on our channel?
I did. I had seen it before, but that kind of re-sparked. I'd previously watched Kubo and the Two Strings. I'm kind of on like a unique movie kick right now. Like I'm really kind of looking for like stuff that I know is good, which I typically don't. I mean, if you ever listen to our podcast before, I'm typically like it's good. I probably know that I don't need to see it, but I'd seen it before, and I kind of wanted to revisit, similar to Kubo. So it's definitely a really impressive movie from a stop motion standpoint. It's really fun.
Yeah, it's a really, really good movie. As far as what I have been up to, I actually completed a video game because it only took about 4 hours.
I was going to say, to be fair, it doesn't.
It was the original GoldenEye, which is now available on Xbox Game Pass. So it is the 64 version, which was a lot of fun to play through. It's definitely different than modern video gaming. Like, they don't tell you anything. There's no waypoints, so you kind of have to find everything. But it was a lot of fun, and it is truly one of the best video games of all time. That, and then just when I thought I was out of the Star Wars game, Star Wars Visions 2 is a masterpiece.
They brought you back in.
I wouldn't say necessarily brought me back into Star Wars, but it really... when Star Wars does anthology stuff, whether it's Visions Season 1, Visions 2, or any of the kind of stuff that's not canon anymore, it's really darn good. And Star Wars, like, even if you're not into the canon Star Wars stuff anymore, which I know Adrian really isn't anymore, could not more highly recommend Visions Season 2. None of it's canon. It's just stories told by studios. It's not all... the first season was all Japanese anime studios. Season 2 is more global. So, for instance, there's a short from Aardman, who's the creators of Wallace and Gromit. There's also other studios from India, South Africa, Chile. There's also a studio from South Korea. There is a Japanese studio. Like, it's very much some of the best Star Wars content I've ever seen. Some of the darkest too.
That's cool.
Especially, there's one particular short I would highly recommend. It is the Screecher's Peak, I think, is episode 2 of
That was my
season
high
2.
school nickname.
Oh, but damn. You called it ahead of time. But it's from the Irish studio Cartoon Saloon, who gave us some of the best looking animated films of all time. And it's their take of a Star Wars origin story, and it's basically what if a Sith found Luke before a Jedi did.
That's cool.
And it's really, really good. I could not more highly recommend it. So, but that is going to be it for me, as far as what I've been watching, as far as what Adrian's been watching. Thank you so much for tuning in with us this week. Adrian, if there's anyone that is watching us and does not know where to find us, where can they do so?
Yeah. First of all, if you're watching us here on YouTube, we we live stream every single Tuesday at 7 p.m. Western time in the United States.
Pacific time. Yeah.
Pacific time. And we also do other stuff. Garrett just put out a series of really, really good, and for this channel, popular videos. Really well made. If you want to check them out, they can definitely give you some new movies to watch. I've gotten some inspiration, like Fantastic Mr. Fox, from watching those videos. So definitely go check those out. We post again every Tuesday, but also we post like long form videos and other things on other days. So make sure to subscribe, hit the like button, and hang out and keep following, because we always post all kinds of different stuff. And then if you want to get in touch with us, the best way to do that is either in the comments below, or go ahead and follow Real Watchers. That's REEL Watchers on Instagram. We post there, and you can get in touch with us and chat and tell us hi and all that good stuff. And we'd love to see you there.
That is absolutely correct. We have had like Adrian said, the trilogy of animated film videos have been out. They're all in completion now, so you can watch all 3 of them. And we've got another one coming out next week. And hopefully you guys check it out, because it's a scary good time. That's a hint of what it is. But if you have any comments, questions, concerns, criticisms, anything that apparently Griffin wants to fight me on Talladega Nights. So go ahead and get those comments in now, and we'll get to them after our part of our little after show. Thank you so much for watching. We'll be back next week. Hopefully I will be at 100% health. Hopefully Adrian will be too, even though he seems like he's good. You always got to help that people are at 100%. And we will see you all next week. Keep your eyes on the screen. Alrighty. Yeah, seriously though, could not more highly recommend Vision Season 2.
Nice. Check it out.
Griffin did say Star Wars Jedi Survivor is a must-play. Apparently not on PC, where it's having performance issues. But yeah, I've been waiting to play this game. I won't have the money for it for some time. But
yeah, it is tough. I feel like $70 feels like a big ask. I think I want to play it super bad. I think I'm just gonna wait for that first sale, or like when the deluxe edition is 70 or whatever, like scaled down. It just seems like so much. And I'm absolutely I've been playing so many free games lately, or Game Pass games, that just seems like a big jump. But yeah. I'm not opposed to it. If it keeps getting really, really good praise, then maybe I'll hop on. But it looks amazing.
Yeah, I mean, the first weekend it'll come out maybe a 20% off. Maybe I'll consider it. I know it'll also come to EA Play through Game Pass at some point, like the first one did. But yeah, as Griffin says, it's steep but runs well enough on console. That's what's important. I mean, like, that's a game that I'm not going to play on PC. I mean, I'm going to play that on console and sit back and relax and enjoy it. But
I'm actually so much not playing on my gaming PC, and it's now kind of a graphic card or two behind that I'm thinking I'm going to switch to Apple for the next one. I'm just a console guy. I don't think I'm a PC gamer.
Well, I mean, hey, it's not for everyone. So I definitely have a more powerful PC just because of the video processing stuff, which I need for work, but also for the channel here, making the videos. It's just nicer to have something more powerful. And I mean, having the option to play something on PC, like there are games that, for instance, there's a game that just released on Game Pass called Ghostwire Tokyo, which is a Bethesda game, and I was really excited to play it. So I downloaded it on Xbox, and the controls felt terrible. So I actually just ended up reinstalling it on PC, and it controlled a lot better. Like the actual input for the sticks and everything didn't feel as crisp or polished as mouse and keyboard did.
Interesting.
But Griffin, I don't want to fight. I want to understand. So what do you want to understand about why Talladega Nights is a horrible film? Go ahead and post your question. What do you want to know? What are you trying to understand? It is crazy though. Like, especially because we were talking about Dodgeball 2 coming next week or last week. Going back and watching a lot of those movies, just how many of them are like not as funny as you remember them being.
Well, times change. Like, I don't think it's that they're not funny. I think that humor has changed.
Yeah, and I think what I mean by that is like for instance, I watched 40-Year-Old Virgin not too long ago, and I thought that movie was funny when I was in 5th grade when my friends were watching it at our house or at my friend's house, late one night because the parents were asleep or whatever, and we thought it was funny. Going back and watching it now, it's not really that funny. Maybe it's just because the kind of humor plays more towards young kids. I don't know, even though it's an R-rated movie about being a virgin in your 40s. Or even the scary movie films. Like, to be fair though, those are not hitting any high bar for excellence even when they came out. But Griffin, I feel like it's one of those things that you just have to take it for what it is. It's not supposed to be a good movie, But and I understand that. But I feel like for one of those things, and again, to very much specify, it's a personal opinion. I'm not saying Adrian can't enjoy this movie. I'm not saying that you can't enjoy this movie. I'm just saying that I did not enjoy this movie. And it has a lot of things going against it for me, why I wouldn't consider it a good film. I'm not a Will Ferrell fan. So, Arder, you've got that. The film is just not very funny to me. It just doesn't tickle my sense of humor, which my sense of humor can be very stupid, like with Jackass, or it can be a little bit more highbrow. Your letterbox is my Bible, though, so if you don't like it, then I can't take it. Well, I don't say that. You should have an opinion of your own. If a movie appeals to you, then watch it. But I don't know. I just really don't enjoy the movie. I think looking back on it, it's really homophobic, which was unfortunately was a standard of the time. Homophobic and transphobic. Even going back and watching some of the old episodes of It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia, there was some really questionable stuff there. But that show is different though, because, and the reason why it's never gotten controversy is because the characters are supposed to be really shitty people that you're not supposed to like, and so it plays into that motif of the show. And they did change later on, and it wasn't they kept it going later, but I don't know. It's a lot of the movie just rubs me the wrong way. I just don't enjoy it. So that's the quick answer.
Fair enough.
But yeah, you shouldn't take my word as gospel, though. I by no means am the only source of opinions. Anything to add, Adrian? Have you watched Talladega Nights recently?
Not recently, but I do remember it fondly. I definitely had a really good time with it. I think the end is iconic when they're running for the finish line and the announcer's like, "This in no way is legal and doesn't count at all, but god damn, this is amazing." Yeah, I think it's fun. I think humor's changed, obviously. My humor's changed. I don't think if I saw it for the first time now. And I'm going to not relate this to nostalgia. I think it's timing. I think like when I saw it, a lot of people my age's humor was still being formed. So I think like this was funny because it was all new. Whereas once you've seen stuff like this a lot, it kind of becomes a little less funny. But I don't think that makes it less like for the time, I think it was funny. Like I remember it being funny, and I think that makes it a funny movie. Like it came out when it came out, and I laughed then.
Yeah, and a lot of times too, you almost don't want to rewatch some of those films because you don't like, again, because your humor changes, because your sentiments change. It can ruin some of those comfortable nostalgia feelings. There's a lot of films that I really don't want to go back and rewatch from when I was younger because I enjoyed them then, and I probably won't now. So I get it. And it looks like we've lost Adrian. Let's see if we can get Adrian back up here. Well, Adrian has been lost to the void. However, until he comes back, Griffin, not related, but happy birthday, Cass. Yes, indeed. Today is Cassidy's birthday. Make sure you text her. Say something nice, That's what I did. It is, in fact, her birthday. Yeah. Really, Adrian has disappeared into the void. Oh. And it looks like we have lost Adrian. Hopefully you are all doing well. Let's see if Adrian rejoins. There's Adrian.
We were talking too much.
Oh, we lost him again, ladies and gentlemen. He has dipped out mid-speech. This is the first time this has happened. Hopefully everything's all right with Adrian's internet over there. Hopefully there's no attack going on. There he is, back! You're moving. Here? You're moving, and I can hear you. You said the film police had come for you?
Yeah, you were talking too much trash about Talladega Nights, and they didn't want me defending it, so they came and got me.
I don't know why they wouldn't come for me.
They said your letterbox was too expansive.
Griffin, get me in there. I'll sub in.
Please do.
Oh, never mind. Don't read that. Well, too late for that.
Please do, Griffin.
Oof.
Oh, love you, Griffin.
Gotta love the passion going on in this live stream right now. But anyhow, yeah, hopefully that clears up the air. Yeah, just don't enjoy that movie. So anyhow,
highly recommend.
Oh, go ahead.
Highly recommend Star Ocean: The Divine Force. Great game. It's like $40 or something.
What kind of game is it?
It used to be like a JRPG Final Fantasy turn-based game, but now they've done the thing where it's all real time, but you can like pause in real time to do.
Oh.
But the combat is incredible and the story's super fun, and I just always love Star Ocean because it takes like the Final Fantasy, for lack of a better word, like the fantasy aspect, and really puts it into like sci-fi. Like it all takes place in space and with ships and like energy weapons and stuff like that. There's still magic, but it's just a different take on that genre, and I've always really enjoyed it. And the fact that one finally got ported to Xbox is super hype, so definitely recommend it.
Well, there you go. And if there's any recommendation I would give, like I said, it would be Star Wars Vision Season 2 on Disney+. Check it out so we can get a third season, hopefully. But Adrian, if you're looking for something unique, something definitely different to watch, I'm trying to think of, I just had watched something recently.
Dang, really hyped it up.
Documentaries? You watch documentaries at all?
Sure.
There's a documentary on, it's on several different services, but I think the big one it's on Hulu. It's called The Act of Killing. A really interesting documentary. Apparently during hold on real quick. Cassidy said, thanks, Griff, for saying happy birthday. Happy birthday, again, even though I said to you earlier, happy birthday. But basically, so during the 60s in Indonesia, like communism was really heavily fought against. And the documentary is about a couple of the mobsters who were essentially a private military that would go out and find people who were communist and just would murder them, essentially. And the documentary is about them recreating, almost like recreating with like themselves, like how they did it. And it's incredibly disturbing because they're laughing about it as they do it.
Oh wow.
And it's so interesting. And I mean, by the end, you start to see some of them understand and realize the weight of what they've done. But like the main guy is so charismatic and feels like, you know, it's a person that anyone would like to probably hang out with. But he's guilty of killing like almost 1 million people, and not by himself. Being like he's part of it. But you know, one of the lines that sticks with you is, you know, oh, like, what do you consider what you did to be war crimes? And the guy's like, well, war crimes are determined by the victor, and we won.
Dang.
And it was like, holy cow! Like, no, yeah, really fantastic documentary. It's pretty long. It's about 3 hours, but it is a really fantastic thing.
Dang, very cool. Some Twitch emojis.
We got Griffin typing Python code over here, I guess. I don't know.
He's actually AI. It's all been a bit.
Griffin GPT. Or Griffin BT. I don't know.
Or just GPT.
Yeah, that's maybe that's what I was going for. But like the sinus buildup in my head was just like, no! Anyhow, thank you so much for watching this week, everyone. We will see you all next week here on Real Watchers.